The captain stared at the blinking red lights covering her control panel. Each light meant another system failing, another step closer to disaster. Captain Velinara's crystalline body caught the emergency lights, sending rainbow patterns across the walls of her dying ship. "How much time do we have?" she asked, though she already knew the answer would be bad. 3 days. "Maybe four if we're lucky," her chief engineer replied. His voice shook like broken glass. "The oxygen recyclers are failing faster than expected." The ethereal drift had been their home for years. Now it was becoming their tomb, floating helplessly between stars with no way to call for help. Well, that wasn't entirely true. They could call for help. They just shouldn't. Velinara looked around the bridge at her crew. 47 souls, all depending on her. The Zalathi were not warriors or explorers. They were traders, artists, and thinkers. Their bodies were made of living crystal that sang when they were happy and dimmed when they were afraid. Right now, the entire ship was dim and quiet. "Captain, we could send a distress signal," suggested Zilmer, the communications officer. He said it quietly, as if speaking too loud might make the idea real. "You know what happens to ships that broadcast in the open," another crew member interrupted. "The Kreks, the Vorthen, or worse could find us. We'd be trading a slow death for a violent one." Velinara knew the stories. Everyone did. Ships that sent distress signals often disappeared, their crews never seen again. The galaxy was full of predators waiting for easy prey. And what could be easier than a damaged ship calling for help? But as she watched a young Zalathi in the corner, barely more than a cluster of small crystals, struggling to breathe, she made her decision. "We're already dying," she said simply. "At least this way, there's a chance." The bridge fell silent. Even in their fear, they trusted their captain. She had guided them through meteor fields and pirates' raids. If she said this was their best option, then it was. "Prepare a universal distress signal," Velinara ordered. "Make it clear we have no weapons. Maybe that will keep the worst of them away." Zilmer's fingers moved across his console, each touch creating a soft chime. The message was simple and honest. It had to be. They were betting their lives on the mercy of strangers. "This is Zalathi vessel Ethereal Drift requesting immediate assistance. Our location coordinates are attached. Life support systems critical. We have no weapons. We mean no harm. Please, if anyone hears this, we need help." The signal went out in every language their computer knew, traveling faster than light through the darkness of space. It would reach dozens of civilizations, maybe hundreds. Most would ignore it. Some would mark their location and stay away. But maybe, just maybe, someone would come. On the bridge, they waited. Minutes felt like hours. The air grew thinner with each breath. The young ones were moved to the medical bay where the last of the good oxygen was being saved for them. The adults would go without to buy the children more time. "Any responses?" Velinara asked every few minutes. "Nothing yet, Captain." The first day passed with silence. By the second day, some of the crew had given up hope. They gathered in small groups, singing their farewell songs. The Zalathi sang their history when they knew death was near, passing. Their stories from one generation to the next through crystal harmonies. Velinara refused to join them. She stayed on the bridge, watching the communications panel, willing someone to answer. Her second-in-command tried to convince her to rest. "Captain, you need to save your strength." "For what?" she asked. "To die a few hours later? No, I'll wait. Here, someone will come." But even she began to doubt. The galaxy was vast and cold. Why would anyone risk their ship and crew for strangers? It made no sense in nature. The strong survived and the weak perished. That was the universal law. As the oxygen levels dropped dangerously low, Velinara found herself thinking about the decision to send the signal. Had she doomed them all? Would pirates find them and take the children for slaves? Would they be experimented on by some cruel species? Then she remembered something her mother had told her long ago, back when Velinara was just a small crystal herself. "Sometimes, little one, you have to believe that there's good in the universe. Not everyone is a predator. Some beings choose to be protectors instead." It was a nice thought, But as the third day began and their oxygen reserves hit critical levels, it seemed like nothing more than wishful thinking. The crew had stopped asking about responses. They knew the silence meant death. The engineers had done everything possible to stretch their air supply, but mathematics didn't lie. They had hours left, not days. That's when it happened, 73 light-years away. On a planet the galactic database had marked with warning labels, someone heard their cry for help. Earth, they called it, a death world, home to one of the galaxy's most dangerous species. Humans. The database entries about humans were terrifying. They lived on a planet where the rain could burn, the wind could kill, and the very ground could shake apart without warning. They breathed poison air and drank acid rain. They were persistent predators who could run their prey to exhaustion. Their home had thousands of ways to kill them, and yet they thrived. If the Scifi had known who was receiving their signal, they might have wished for the pirates instead. But fate has a strange sense of humor, because the humans who heard that desperate cry for help didn't see weak prey floating in space. They heard someone drowning and decided to throw them a rope. The rescue was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Dr. Chen was halfway through her third cup of coffee when her computer screen lit up like a Christmas tree. She'd been monitoring deep space signals for 12 years, and in all that time, she'd never seen anything like this. "What the?" she muttered, setting down her cup so fast that coffee splashed onto her desk. The signal was clear, organized, and definitely not natural. It repeated every 30 seconds in perfect intervals. Her hand shook as she ran it through the translation program. When the English words appeared on her screen, she forgot how to breathe. "This is the Scifi vessel requesting immediate assistance. Life support critical. We have no weapons. We mean no harm. Aliens, real, living aliens were calling for help within an hour." The small monitoring station in Nevada was buzzing with activity. Scientists, military officials, and government representatives appeared as if from thin air. The coffee machine worked overtime as everyone tried to process what was happening. It could be a trap, General Thompson said for the 5th time. He was an older man who'd seen too many conflicts to trust easily. Think about it. What better way to lure us out than pretending to be helpless? Or, Dr. Tanaka countered, adjusting her glasses. It could be exactly what it seems, a ship in distress calling for help. Isn't that what we do? The debate raged through the night. Half the room wanted to ignore the signal. Earth had enough problems without adding aliens to the mix. The other half argued this was the opportunity of a lifetime. First contact with an alien species, and they were asking for help rather than trying to invade. Admiral Harrison sat quietly through most of the discussion. He was a large man with kind eyes that had seen too much. When people finally noticed his silence and asked for his opinion, he stood slowly. "I spent 30 years in the Navy," he began. "Pulled dozens of people from burning ships and sinking boats. You know what I never asked? What country they were from. When someone's drowning, you throw them a rope. It's that simple." "But Admiral," someone protested, "these aren't humans. We don't know anything about them. We know they're dying," Harrison replied. "We know they have no weapons, and we know they asked for help. In my book, that's enough." The room fell silent. Then, slowly, people began to nod. The decision was made. Earth would answer the call. The next week was a blur of activity. The Inns Resilient, Earth's fastest ship, was pulled from its regular patrol and refitted for the rescue mission. Extra oxygen tanks were loaded. The medical bay was stocked with equipment that could hopefully adapt to alien biology. Food, water, and emergency supplies filled every spare corner. Choosing the crew was harder. They needed the best, but they also needed people who could handle the unknown. Captain Rodriguez was the first choice. She'd earned her reputation the hard way, rescuing miners from collapsed asteroids and evacuating colonies from natural disasters. If anyone could handle this, she could. "I want volunteers only," she told the assembled crew. "This isn't an order. We don't know what we'll find out there. Could be peaceful beings in need. Could be something else. Anyone who wants out, now's the time." Nobody moved. Dr. Tanaka gave daily briefings as they prepared. The Scifi, She explained, using the name from the message. We know almost nothing about them. They could be silicon-based, carbon-based like us, or something we've never imagined. Be ready for anything. The engineer, a young woman everyone called Red because of her hair, raised her hand. What if our oxygen is poison to them? What if we can't even touch them without hurting them? Then we figure it out, Captain Rodriguez said firmly. Humans are good at adapting. It's what we do. The night before launch, the crew gathered for a final briefing. Outside, protesters held signs. Some called them heroes, others called them fools. The news was split between excitement and fear. Look, Rodriguez said to her crew, I know what the galaxy thinks of us. I've read the reports. Deathworlders, they call us, and you know what? They're not wrong. We come from a planet that tries to kill us every day. We breathe air that would poison half the species out there. We can survive injuries that would kill most aliens. She paused, looking each crew member in the eye. But that's not all we are. We're also the species that crosses oceans to help strangers. We run into burning buildings to save people we've never met. We donate our organs to give others a chance at life. So yes, we're Deathworlders. But we're also something else. We're helpers. And right now, someone out there needs our help. The launch was broadcast worldwide. Millions watched as the Resilient rose into the sky, carrying humanity's hopes and fears with it. Parents held their children closer. Religious leaders prayed. In 100 languages, scientists held their breath. The journey would take 18 days at maximum speed. 18 days to cover a distance that light itself would need 73 years to cross. The crew trained constantly, running scenarios from peaceful first contact to hostile engagement. Remember, Dr. Tanaka reminded them during one session. To them, we might be the monsters. We're bipedal predators with forward-facing eyes. We're probably their worst nightmare. Move slowly, keep your hands visible. Smile with your mouth closed. Showing teeth might be seen as aggression. As Earth grew smaller behind them, Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching the stars stretch into lines as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. Somewhere out there, aliens were dying. They'd sent a message into the dark, hoping someone would answer. Well, she said quietly, they're about to learn what humans are really made of. The rescue mission was underway. In 18 days, humanity would face its first real test as citizens of the galaxy, not as conquerors or explorers, but as rescuers, as helpers, as proof that sometimes the most dangerous species could also be the most compassionate. The Deathworlders were coming, and they were coming to help. Captain Rodriguez gripped her chair as the Resilient dropped out of faster-than-light speed. 18 days of traveling through bent space-time, and now they were here. The view screen showed nothing but stars at first, then the sensors found it there, the navigator said, pointing at a shape floating in the darkness. 2,000 kilometers ahead, Rodriguez leaned forward. Put it on screen. Maximum magnification. What appeared made the entire bridge crew gasp. The alien ship looked like someone had carved a cathedral from crystal and set it among the stars. It caught the distant starlight and scattered it in thousands of colors. Beautiful, delicate, and according to their scans, dying. Life signs? Rodriguez asked. Though she dreaded the answer, faint but present, Dr. Tanaka reported, 47 individuals. Their energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. Captain, their power levels are critical. Life support is failing. How long did they have? Hours. Maybe less. Rodriguez stood. All hands, this is the captain. We found them. They're alive, but barely. Remember your training. We're about to make history. So let's make it the right kind. Rodriguez out. She turned to her communications officer. Open all channels. Let them know we're here. The young officer cleared his throat nervously. This was it. Humanity's first words to alien life. No pressure. Zalathi vessel. This is the human ship in Resilient. We received your distress signal. We're here to help. Please respond. Silence stretched for what felt like hours but was only seconds. Then, a weak signal came through. The computer translated it instantly. You came? But you're from a death world. The database says your species is classified as extremely dangerous. Rodriguez couldn't help but smile slightly, even dying. They were worried about humans being dangerous. Zalathi vessel. We understand your concern. Yes. We're from Earth. Yes, we're classified as dangerous. But right now, we're your rescue team. May we approach and dock? Another pause. Then, we have no choice. Please, we have young ones aboard. They're dying first. Understood. We're coming alongside now. Helmsman, take us in nice and easy. No sudden movements. As the Resilient approached, the crew got their first real look at the damage. The crystal ship had holes punched through its hull, sealed with what looked like energy fields that flickered weakly. Those patches won't hold much longer, the chief engineer observed. We need to dock fast. The docking was delicate work. Human ships were built tough, made to withstand Earth's harsh conditions and humanity's rougher handling. The Zalathi ship looked like it might shatter if they breathed on it wrong. Easy, easy. Rodriguez murmured as the two ships slowly connected. That's it. Lock it down gently. Seal confirmed, came the report. We're connected. Rodriguez turned to the boarding team. Dr. Tanaka, the chief engineer, 2 medics, and a security officer, just in case. All volunteers, remember, she said. We're probably terrifying to them. Move slowly. Keep your hands visible. Doc, you take the lead. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor unlike anything they'd seen. The walls were smooth crystal that hummed softly. The air that rushed in was thin, barely breathable even for humans. Oxygen masks on, Dr. Tanaka ordered. Their air won't sustain us for long. They moved carefully through the ship, following the directions the Zalathi had provided. The gravity was lighter than Earth's, making each step feel like a small bounce. Finally, they reached what seemed to be the bridge. The door opened, and both species saw each other for the first time. The Zalathi were beautiful. There was no other word for it. They looked like living crystals, their bodies refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. But that light was dim, flickering weakly. They huddled together, the larger ones sheltering the smaller ones, the humans. From the Zalathi perspective, must have looked like nightmares made real. Bipedal predators with forward-facing eyes, dense with muscle, moving with the controlled grace of apex hunters. When the security officer shifted slightly, every Zalathi in the room flinched back. It's okay, Dr. Tanaka said softly, removing her helmet to show her face. We're here to help. I'm a doctor. Where are you injured, Captain? Velinara stepped forward, her crystalline form trembling. You truly came to help? Not to hurt you. Tanaka finished gently. Now please, where are the young ones? Children first. That's the human way. Velinara gestured weakly to a corner where smaller crystal forms lay still. The humans moved immediately, their training overriding the strangeness of the situation. That's when the chief engineer, a man everyone called Big Mike despite him asking them not to, noticed something. One of the smallest Zalathi, barely the size of a basketball, was struggling. Its light was almost out. Without thinking, Mike pulled off his oxygen mask and held it gently near the small alien. Here, little guy, take a breath. The adult Zalathi made sounds of alarm, but Mike just knelt there, sharing his air with a dying alien child. After a moment, the small crystal's light grew brighter. It chimed softly, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. It's working, Velinara whispered. The oxygen. It's helping. Dr. Tanaka immediately understood. Their atmosphere has oxygen, just not enough anymore. We need to flood the ship with our air supply. Captain Rodriguez, we need every oxygen tank we have. On it, Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm. Bringing them over now, for the next hour. The humans worked with an efficiency that both amazed and terrified the Zalathi. They moved so fast, so decisively. The engineer and his team patched hull breaches with human technology that seemed impossibly crude. Metal plates and welding torches instead of energy fields. But it worked. The medics set up oxygen distribution points, carefully monitoring each Zalathi's response. Some needed more, some less. The children responded fastest, their crystal forms brightening as they breathed easier. Your young one, Dr. Tanaka said to one Zalathi parent. They're going to be fine. The damage isn't permanent. The Zalathi made a sound like breaking glass. Their version of crying. Thank you, thank you. We thought, when we saw what you were. We thought, I know, Tanaka said gently. We look scary. We get it, but looks aren't everything. As the immediate crisis passed and the Zalathi could breathe again, both species began to relax slightly. The humans moved more casually. Their natural movement still predatory, but clearly not threatening. The Zalathi's fear gradually transformed into curiosity. You're so dense, one Zalathi scientist observed, scanning Big Mike with some kind of device. Your bones are like metal. How do you even move? Mike chuckled. High gravity world, friend. Makes us solid. Comes in handy when you need to lift heavy things. Like this. He easily picked up a piece of fallen equipment that 3 Zalathi had been struggling with. Captain Velinara watched it all with wonder. We were so wrong. The database called you Deathworlders, said you were dangerous though. We are dangerous, Captain Rodriguez said honestly. Our world tries to kill us daily. We evolved as hunters. We can be violent, aggressive, and stubborn. But we chose to be something else. We chose to help. As the 2 captains talked, neither noticed the ship's long-range sensors starting to flash. The Zalathi hadn't been hit by a random meteor storm. Something was coming back to finish the job. The human rescue team had been working for 3 hours straight. The Zalathi ship, once dark and dying, now hummed with renewed life. Oxygen flowed through repaired vents, and the crystal being's lights grew stronger with each passing minute. Big Mike wiped sweat from his forehead as he welded another patch onto the hull. That should hold, he said to his assistant, a younger engineer everyone called Sparks. Not pretty, but it'll keep the air inside. Dr. Tanaka checked on her patients. The smallest Zalathi, the one Mike had saved, followed her around like a glowing puppy. It made soft chimming sounds whenever she looked at it. I think you've made a friend, Captain Velinara said, her voice stronger now. Little Shimmer hasn't left your side since your crew arrived. Tanaka smiled. Shimmer? That's a perfect name. She gently touched the small crystal being, surprised to find it warm. Back home, we have a saying, save a life, and you're responsible for it forever. Guess that applies across species too. The 2 captains sat in Velinara's ready room, sharing information. Rodriguez had brought coffee from the human ship, and Velinara was fascinated by the dark liquid. You drink heated plant water with stimulants? She asked, her crystalline face showing what might have been amusement. And this helps you think. You have no idea, Rodriguez laughed. Half of human civilization runs on this stuff. Try it. But careful. It's strong. Velinara took a tiny sip and her entire body flashed bright orange. By the first crystal. It's like liquid energy. As they talked, the differences between their species became more apparent. The Zalathi were peaceful. Traders who had never known war on their homeworld. They created art, studied philosophy, and traveled the stars to share knowledge. We don't understand violence, Velinara admitted. When those meteors hit us, we didn't even realize we were under attack at first. Who would do such a thing? Rodriguez's expression darkened. Tell me about the meteor storm. What exactly happened? Velinara pulled up a holographic display. We were traveling our usual trade route when they came from nowhere. Small, fast-moving objects that pierced our shields like they weren't there. Our engineers said the impact patterns were too precise to be natural. But who would attack a vessel carrying children and art supplies? The human captain studied the data, her face growing grimmer. These aren't meteor impacts. These are weapon signatures, high-velocity kinetic rounds. Someone hunted you? Hunted? Velinara's light dimmed with fear. But why? We have nothing of value except our cultural archives and some crystal art. We're not worth. She was interrupted by alarms blaring through both ships. The human tactical officer's voice crackled over comms. Captain, we've got incoming vessels. 3 ships, closing fast. They're not broadcasting identification. Rodriguez was on her feet instantly. Battle stations. How long until they reach? U.S. 20 minutes at their current speed. The change in the humans was instant and terrifying to watch. The helpful rescuers transformed into something else entirely. Rodriguez's voice became sharp as steel as she issued rapid orders. The security team checked weapons. Engineers secured all connections between ships. Villanara watched in growing alarm. What are you doing? We should run, hide. The ethereal drift can't take another attack. That's exactly why we're not running, Rodriguez said firmly. Your ship is in no condition to flee. So we stand and fight. Fight. But you're one ship against 3. Rodriguez smiled, but it wasn't the warm smile from earlier. This was the smile of a predator. Captain Villanara, you're about to learn why they call us Deathworlders. As the unknown ships approached, Dr. Tanaka quickly moved all the Zalathi to the safest part of their ship. The small ones were terrified, their lights flickering rapidly. It's okay, she soothed them. The humans won't let anything happen to you. We protect our friends. But how? One young Zalathi asked. You're healers. You saved us. You can't be fighters too. Tanaka's expression was sad but determined. Humans are complicated. We can heal with one hand and fight with the other. It's not always pretty, but sometimes it's necessary. On the Resilience Bridge, the crew prepared for battle. The approaching ships finally came into visual range. They were ugly things, built for intimidation with spikes and weapon ports clearly visible. Krex Raiders. The tactical officer reported, wanted in 12 systems for piracy and slavery. Rodriguez's jaw tightened. Slavers. They'd attacked a ship full of peaceful beings and children. Planning to sell them, her crew saw the moment their captain made her decision. Open a channel. She ordered. A face appeared on screen that looked like someone had mixed a crocodile with a spider and given it intelligence. The Krex commander showed far too many teeth in what might have been a smile. Well, the creature hissed, humans, and here we thought we'd only find weak Zalathi to collect. Stand aside, Deathworlders. This prey belongs to us. No, Rodriguez said simply. The Krex blinked all 8 eyes. No, perhaps you didn't understand. We are 3. You are 1. Move or be destroyed. Rodriguez leaned forward. Let me explain something. That ship you attacked has children on it in human culture. Anyone who hurts children is the lowest form of life. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to turn around and leave. Now, or we're going to show you exactly why the galaxy fears Deathworlders. The Krex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. You threaten us, one little human ship. You're brave, but stupid. We'll take you apart and add your crew to our collection. Weapons free. Rodriguez said quietly to her crew. Show them what humans do to slavers. Back on the Zalathi ship, Villanara and her crew watched their sensors in disbelief. The human ship, outnumbered 3-1, wasn't retreating. It was accelerating toward the enemy. They're insane, her navigator whispered. They can't possibly win. But as they watched, the humans began to prove why Earth was classified as a death world. The Resilient moved in ways that should have torn any ship apart. The gravitational forces alone would have crushed most species, but humans had evolved. In Earth's heavy gravity, they could handle it. The first Krex ship fired, expecting an easy kill. The human ship rolled, dodged, and returned fire with precision that seemed impossible. Not at the weapons or engines, but at specific structural weak points that shouldn't have been visible. How did they know where to hit? Villanara asked in awe. On the Resilient, Big Mike had the answer. Krex ships are built like shells, tough outside, weak at the joints. Just like taking apart a crab back home, you just need to know where to apply pressure. The battle was unlike anything the Zalathi had ever seen. The humans fought with a combination of precision and brutality that was terrifying to witness. They rammed one Krex ship when its shields dropped. The Resilient's reinforced hull crushing the enemy's bridge. They used electronic warfare to turn another ship's weapons against its partner, and through it all, the human crew worked with an efficiency that seemed impossible. When the Resilient took damage, repair teams fixed it while still in combat. When systems failed, backups came online instantly. Captain, Sparks reported from engineering. We've got a breach on Deck 4. Seal it, Rodriguez ordered. Never taking her eyes off the tactical display. Already done. Also, I rerouted power from the coffee makers to the weapons. We'll want repairs after this. Even in battle, facing death, the humans made jokes. It was incomprehensible to the Scifi, and terrifying to the Kreks. Within 15 minutes, one Krek ship was destroyed, another was crippled and trying to flee, and the third was desperately calling for mercy. Please, the Krek's commander begged. His earlier arrogance gone. We surrender. Don't destroy us. Rodriguez stared at him coldly. You attacked a ship full of children. Give me one reason why I should show you mercy. We have information, other targets. We'll tell you everything. The human captain was quiet for a long moment. Then, you have one chance. Transfer your navigation data and communication logs. All of it. Then you're going to spread the word to every pirate and slaver in the galaxy. The Scifi are under human protection now. Anyone who touches them answers. To Earth, as the defeated Kreks limped away, Velinara could hardly process what had happened. These humans, who had been so gentle with her children, so careful with their repairs, had just defeated 3 warships without breaking a sweat. You saved us, she said when Rodriguez returned to the Scifi ship. Twice, Rodriguez shrugged. That's what we do. We help. Sometimes helping means healing. Sometimes it means fighting. Today, it meant both. Little Shimmer floated up to the human captain, chimming softly. Without thinking, Rodriguez reached out and gently patted the small crystal being. Yeah, little one, she said softly, you're safe now. Nobody's going to hurt you on our watch. In that moment, Velinara understood. The humans were everything the database said, dangerous, violent, capable of terrible destruction. But they used that power to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. They were Deathworlders. And thank the stars they were on the Scifi's side. The repairs were almost complete. For 2 days, humans and Scifi had worked side by side, transforming the crystal ship from a dying hulk into something that could fly again. It wasn't pretty. Human welding marks scarred the elegant crystal hull like battle wounds, but it would hold. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ethereal drift, watching the mixed crew work together. Big Mike was teaching a young Scifi engineer how to use a welding torch, while Dr. Tanaka showed their medics human first aid techniques. The fear was gone, replaced by genuine friendship. Your people learn quickly, she said to Captain Velinara. And yours teach with patience, Velinara replied. I still can't believe. When we sent that signal, we thought we were dead. Now look at us. Little Shimmer hadn't left the human doctor's side since the rescue. The small crystal being had even learned to mimic some human gestures, bobbing up and down when happy like a human nod. Captain, the urgent call came from the Resilience Bridge. Long-range sensors are picking up incoming ships. Multiple contacts. Rodriguez's blood ran cold. How many? 6? No, 8. Captain, they're coming in fast. Velinara's light dimmed. With fear, 8 ships. The Kreks have returned with friends. Rodriguez was already moving. All hands, prepare for combat. This is not a drill. She turned to Velinara. Can your ship jump to faster than light? Not yet. The drive needs another day at least. Then we hold them here. Rodriguez's voice was steel. Get your people to the safe zones. We'll handle this. As the crew scrambled to prepare, the approaching ships came into sensor range. These weren't just random pirates. This was a coordinated fleet. On the main screen, a face appeared that made even the battle-hardened human crew pause. The creature looked like it was made of shadows and teeth, with eyes that held no mercy. I am Krazel, fleet commander of the Black Spiral, the creature growled. You destroyed my scouts and took my prize. No one defies the Black Spiral and lives. Rodriguez stepped forward. I'm Captain Rodriguez of Earth. The Scifi are under our protection. Leave now, and you might survive this mistake. The alien laughed, a sound like grinding glass. 1 ship against 8. You humans are as stupid as the database says. Surrender the crystals, and we might let you die quickly. Counter-offer, Rodriguez said calmly. You leave now, and I don't have to explain to your next of kin why attacking friends of humanity was the last mistake you ever made. Brave words for dead prey. All ships, attack pattern spiral, leave no survivors. The connection cut. Rodriguez turned to her crew, and they saw something in her eyes that the Scifi had never seen before, the full unleashed fury of a species that had clawed its way to the top of the food chain on a death world. They want to hurt children, she said quietly. They want to enslave peaceful beings who asked for our help. Well, they're about to learn why you don't corner a human protecting someone. She opened a channel to the Resilient. All hands, this is the captain, 8 versus 1. They think we can't win. Let's teach them about human math. Weapons free, show no mercy. What happened next would be remembered across the galaxy for generations. The human ship didn't wait for the enemy to position themselves. It accelerated directly at the center of their formation. A move so insane that the enemy ships actually hesitated. They're trying to ram us. One Crex captain shouted. But Rodriguez had something else in mind. At the last second, the Resilient fired all its mining charges, equipment meant for asteroid braking, directly into the enemy formation. The explosions weren't enough to destroy ships, but they were enough to blind sensors and create chaos. In that chaos, the humans struck. They moved through the enemy formation like a shark, through a school of fish, hitting weak points with surgical precision. The gravitational forces should have killed the human crew, but they endured. Their bodies evolved for far worse. On the Scifi ship, Velinara's crew watched in awe and terror. How are they surviving those maneuvers? The G-forces alone. Humans can take up to 9 times their normal gravity for short periods, Dr. Tanaka explained. Still calm despite the battle raging outside. Our blood doesn't pool like most species. We call it pulling G's. Our fighter pilots train for it. You're all insane, a Scifi engineer whispered. No, Tanaka said softly, watching little Shimmer huddle close to her. We just really don't like bullies. The battle turned into something from a nightmare. The human ship used tactics no civilized species would consider. They vented their own atmosphere to create thrust for impossible turns. They overloaded their own systems to create electromagnetic pulses. They even used their waste disposal system to create a debris field that fouled enemy engines. Sir, Big Mike's voice came over comms from the Resilient. I've got an idea, but it's crazy even for us. How crazy? Rodriguez asked while directing another attack run. Remember that story about ancient Earth naval battles? The fire ships? Rodriguez actually grinned. Do it? Minutes later, one of the Resilient's own shuttles, packed with fuel and mining charges, flew directly into the enemy formation on autopilot. The explosion took out two enemy ships and damaged a third. They're using their own equipment as weapons. Krajal screamed. What kind of species does that? The kind that evolve on a planet where everything tries to kill you. Rodriguez replied over open comms. The kind that turn hurricanes, earthquakes, and predators into minor inconveniences. You wanted to meet Deathworlders? Congratulations. The tide turned completely when the damaged Crex ship from the earlier battle limped back into sensor range. But instead of joining their fleet, they sent a single message. The humans showed us mercy. We won't make the same mistake twice. Black Spiral, you're on your own. Seeing their former allies abandon them broke the remaining pirates' morale. One by one, they tried to flee. The human ship, battered but unbroken, let them go with a warning. Tell everyone what happened here. The Scifi have friends now, human friends, as the last enemy ship vanished into the void. A strange silence fell. Then, from the Scifi ship, came a sound the humans had never heard before. Every crystal being was singing, their lights pulsing. In harmony, it was their song of victory, of gratitude, of joy. Captain Rodriguez, exhausted and bruised, returned to the ethereal drift. She was immediately tackled by Little Shimmer, who chimed excitedly and wouldn't let go. Thank you, Velinara said, her voice thick with emotion. You could have left when the fleet arrived, 8 against 1. No one would have blamed you. Yes, they would, Rodriguez said simply. We would have blamed ourselves. When someone asks for help, you help. When someone tries to hurt kids, you stop them. It's that simple. But you risked everything. Your ship, your crew. and we do it again tomorrow. Rodriguez knelt down to Little Shimmer's level. Because this little one deserves to grow up. Free. They all do. Days later, with both ships repaired and the Zalathi drive finally operational, it was time to part ways. The entire Zalathi crew gathered to say goodbye. They prepared gifts, crystal sculptures that captured light in impossible ways, songs recorded in their harmonic language, and most precious of all, a star chart showing all the peaceful species in the galaxy who might need friends. This is our gift to Earth, Velinara said. You saved one ship. Now you can save many more, if you choose. Dr. Tanaka had to say the hardest goodbye. Little Shimmer didn't want to let go, chimming sadly and dimming their light. Hey now, she said gently, this isn't goodbye forever, Earth. And the Zalathi are friends now. We'll see each other again. As the two ships prepared to part, one final message came through. It was from the Galactic Council, the governing body that most species belonged to but had never invited Earth to join. To the humans of Earth, the message read, we have received multiple reports of your actions. A species that uses its strength to protect rather than conquer is rare. The galaxy has many threats and few protectors. Would you consider a meeting? Rodriguez looked at her crew, saw their proud smiles, and sent back a simple reply. We'll be there. But fair warning, we don't abandon our friends, ever. As the ethereal drift jumped to faster than light, heading home with stories that would change the galaxy's view of humans forever, Velinara made one last log entry. Personal log, Captain Velinara. We sent a distress signal expecting death. What answered was something the galaxy needs to understand. Humans are dangerous. They're predators from a world that creates survivors. But they're also something more precious than any crystal. They're protectors. They see someone in trouble, and their first instinct isn't to take advantage, but to help. The galaxy called them Deathworlders. But I know better. They're life-bringers. And I pray to the first crystal that they never change. Back on the Resilient, as Earth grew larger in their viewports, Captain Rodriguez gathered her crew. You know what we started here, right? She said. This won't be the last distress signal we answer. Good, Big Mike said, speaking for them all. The galaxy's got a lot of bullies. About time someone stood up to them. Rodriguez smiled. Then let's make sure we're ready. Because if today taught us anything, it's that being the scariest species in the room means nothing if you don't use it to protect those who can't protect themselves. The crew cheered. Earth had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or traitors, but as something far more important.